Buddy, welcome back to another episode of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are here to talk about our two favorite subjects. That's right, fintech and blockchain. What's happening in these crazy, exciting industries that happen to change on the millisecond every day, all day. And we know that there's been some big headlines this week already in this industry with Ethereum 2.0, the beacon chain launching, coming to market, which is exciting. We also have numerous headlines coming from PayPal, from Facebook, from some of the biggest names in the traditional finance space looking to make their way in to the now bigger, broader fintech and digital currency space, or also the decentralized finance space as well, depending on the companies. A lot to be talked about in these areas with each of these companies and the projects that they're working for. But before we get into that, I want to make sure we thank you, our audience, for tuning in. Thank you so much. If you're liking what you hear today, make sure you click that big red subscribe button to tune in all day, every day to all episodes of VCTV as we bring the best and the brightest from around the world to share with you their thoughts and insights and on-the-ground perspective about different industries, technologies, and regions around the world. If you'd like to be on a show like today and like our investors who we'll introduce in just a moment, do reach out to the team and or myself. We'd love to find the right spot for you. Also, in that terms of team, definitely a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. Now, as we go ahead and get started here, big shout out to you entrepreneurs. We're closing out the year. You put a ton of work in to building your company product or service. You put all those tears, blood and sweat into making it happen. What better way to show it off and end the year and kick off another than getting up on our virtual stage here at VCTV to share with us your company product or service, get real-time feedback, build foundational relationships, and get exposure to our live audience. Reach out. We'd love to find the right spot. Last but not least, a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria, pardon me, for all that they do here at VCTV, bringing us together all day, every day, and bringing us to your devices anywhere in the world you may be. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's discussion and introducing each and every one of our guests. Jose, welcome back.
Hi, Kyle. So happy to be back on your show. It's always a real pleasure to be part of the shows that you organize. So my name is Jose Grasa. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been a business angel for several decades. Also been a VC for some years. And have been building brands more or less all my life in different verticals, but focused on the last 20 years essentially on software and fintech area. Definitely this topic that we have today is one that I love. It touches what we are doing at a certain point inside BizMoney itself. We are working on business inclusion. For self-employed, micro business owners, and unemployed people that want to kick off their first business. And I'm all yours, Kyle. So,
wonderful. Thank you so much, Jose. Adrian, welcome back to the show. A little intro background, please.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here again and again, which is a big honor and responsibility. My name is Edwin Niculescu. I'm an entrepreneur and an investor involved in a few projects, CloudCoin Consortium, CloudCoin being a post-blockchain digital currency, Faster Capital, a Dubai-based accelerator for companies, accelerator and incubator, and a mentor in Richard Branson's Virgin Startups. And I just cooked pasta for my daughters. They preferred me to their mothers. So I'm very proud and very happy to be here. Can't wait to contribute.
Wonderful. Thank you. Gary Fowler, artificial intelligence grandmaster himself. A little intro and a little background, please.
Thanks, Kyle. So it's great to be here. My name's Gary Fowler. It's great to see all my friends here. Great to be here with you, Kyle. So I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've done 16 companies, 2 unicorns, and a partridge in a pear tree. And having a lot of fun. I love artificial intelligence. I've got the GSD Labs. We have a Go Global accelerator. We're working with the top AI companies from around the world, and also GSD Venture Studios, where we curate those companies using Silicon Valley as a port. And it's great to be here, and we love impact investing. So it's going to be interesting conversation today. Thanks.
Absolutely. Irina, welcome back. Crypto woman, crypto superwoman herself. A little intro, a little background for everybody. Oh, I think you might be on mute. It's the cool background. We'll come back to you here in just a moment as you're working that out. Matthew, welcome back to the show. We talked earlier this week. You've also got an outstanding set of novels and books in this industry. You also have a great video that I'll make sure to share in the show notes for everyone about your 2021 predictions on the industry. Also have a new project you've launched. With that, I'll stop introducing you and let you introduce yourself. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Kyle. Hello, everyone, and hello, everyone who's listening in. I'm Matthew Lemerle. I'm based in Silicon Valley, been here 35 years. I'm one of the two principals in Fifth Era, which is an investment firm and family office, but also in Blockchain Co-Investors, which is the leading blockchain venture fund of funds. So we are investors in all of the, or most of the leading blockchain VCs, Blockchain Capital, Castle Island, Fabric, 1KX, and so on. And through them, in about 200 blockchain projects, including 20 or so blockchain unicorns. I'm very excited by that. And then since we last spoke, Kyle, I took on a new role, chairman of the Universal Protocol Alliance. And we did launch the world's first tokenized red carbon credits earlier on this week. So if we do get onto the topic of impact, this is an area that interests us greatly as well.
Wonderful. Congratulations as well on that. For those who have not had a chance to check out the project, we will include a link to it. It's pretty exciting what Matthew and team have done as well. Irina, welcome back if you're with us, and Sam as well. But Irina, first, a little intro, a little background. All right, Irina is having a little bit of audio issues, so while she fixes that, you can find everything and all about Irina online at Crypto Superwoman. She is foundational in this industry. She's been in it for way too long, but also way too short, because there's so much that she's done and impacted in this industry. Definitely check her out. She'll be talking to us a little bit more about some of her work in all areas as blockchain and fintech intersect some of the other industries that she works on as well. So we'll be bringing her back here in just a moment. Sam, welcome back to the show as well. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Sure thing. Apologies for being a few minutes late. The invite just showed up. Anyway, nice to meet you all. I am one of the general partners in Blockcelerate VC, a Seattle-based venture fund, and we invest in enterprise adoption of blockchain technology. Some of the portfolio companies include Block Apps and Symbiont, and we also have a up to 20% allocation in tokens.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to the show. And as we jump in here, everybody, I mean, we talked about this earlier in the week. We're talking about it again. So much has happened already in this industry just within the last 24 hours, as it seems every time we get ready to talk about this subject. But what is even more exciting is that blockchain now is touching almost all industries in several different ways around the world. Fintech is now looking at the fact that they have their hands forced in that they have to digitize everything that they do for the better. Now, where that goes from here in terms of central bank digital currencies and some of the other areas to be determined. I'd love to hear from each of you on your thoughts around this as well. So Jose, let's kick it off with you. Current state, what are you seeing? What's getting you excited between fintech and blockchain?
Definitely this improvement to Ethereum 2.0 will make some excitement in the industry itself. I think it was a long desired evolution. It took quite some time. I don't believe this will be the last one, so this is just an upgrade. I would even like to see, for example, an upgrade to Bitcoin itself. I don't know if that will ever happen, but as being the most liquid cryptocurrency, I think it would be a very nice add-on to happen. I strongly believe that the blockchain model as is probably will not be, let's say, the industry standard for a long time. There will be coming a new type of blockchain. I'm not sure what it will be, but the panel members here, I think a few of them probably have more data on that than I have, so I would like to listen to them a little bit further on. But this is the way I see it. I can tell you what we are doing is maybe unique in the sense that we are creating something what we call because BizMoney, as I told you, inside it's a social market economy, right? And what we do is we treat every user as a, let's say, citizen on this economy itself. And what he gets from us is basically a unique token, which is lifetime. So the token will only be erased once he basically, unfortunately, passes away or leaves the system definitely. Even if he comes back later on and we erase his data that is permitted by law, then still that token is available for him. And because he gets that token, it's fixed to his name, and his birth date. And that's the way we look at it. So this is how we trace, in essence, whatever happens in the social market economy itself. That might be an interesting topic.
No, I think that's a great topic, and it's actually something Matthew we spoke a little bit about on our last panel around fintech and banking as well. So we will definitely come back on that. Thank you, Jose. And with that transition, actually, Matthew, I'll just come down to you. I mean, current state, anything to add to Jose, but also what are you currently seeing in this industry with your new appointed position, but in general, your view on everything?
Well, we did touch upon this last time, and I'm agreeing with Jose's point, the underlying point, which is that the foundational technologies that we've been working with are going to get changed and upgraded. They need to be, everyone knows that, the Ethereum team, the distributed Bitcoin blockchain team, everyone is working on resolving issues of throughput and response times and transactional costs and other things. The reason this is so important is because the large-scale enterprise applications are beginning now to be considered. So, the first 10 years, we've really been using this technology to support important but relatively small-scale activities. Now, we've cracked the back of the resistance at the government and large institutional levels. They're now leaning in and willing to participate in distributed ledger. But we have to solve this issue of how to cope with the scale of their activities, and not to do so makes it very hard for the bulk of those activities to embrace distributed and decentralized technology. I mean, it could still be private blockchains, but obviously, I think that there would be big advantages if we could get the core technologies of, Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum, Polkadot, Filecoin, and things like this to a place where they can really cope with much, much higher transaction levels. So that's sort of the narrative under which things like Ethereum 2.0 or the Lightning Network and so on, that's why they're so important. And we're very hopeful, but like I say, there is some risk here that in 2021 we'll have a diversion and more of the scale activity of distributed ledger will actually be done on other people's networks. And if you think about the Chinese digital yuan, which isn't technically a blockchain initiative in the decentralized, thought process, but they're obviously building their own technology and running ahead. We want a lot of these enterprise applications to sit on the protocols that we've all been working on, so they need to get better. So anyhow, I just wanted to share that, but I agree with Jose's point that we could all be surprised by new networks and new protocols suddenly appearing that have this functionality if we don't upgrade the ones we already have.
Absolutely. And Sam, coming to you next, anything to add on to what Matthew and Jose stated, but also would love to hear your current view of what you're seeing in the markets of both blockchain and fintech as things are changing so drastically.
Sure. So the main use cases that fintech and blockchain tie-in together have seen significant adoption, a lot of stable coin growth, a lot of transaction volume. And it's interesting to juxtapose the transaction volume that Maker's product DAI is able to process and the transaction volume that we see in PayPal. It's interesting to see that just one stable coin can achieve a significant portion of the transaction volume that PayPal does. Granted, much of the activity in a stablecoin can be on exchanges and speculative trading activity, unlike PayPal with a lot of merchant transactions, but it still demonstrates the technical capacity that these protocols can offer, and it builds greater confidence to rely on stablecoin protocols. And a lot of central banks are making initiatives to issue government stable coins. So another payment processing vector developing in the space that is at the intersection of blockchain and fintech. And beyond that, money as a service use case, a lot of new regulations, like Matthew was mentioning, are coming about. One of the subsidiaries of our portfolio company, Templum, was actually materially involved with enabling state of Delaware for the incorporation of companies on blockchain, so that instead of having an incorporation and then representing the paperwork on blockchain in retrofitted way, we can actually look to generate the very on the blockchains and reflect the cap tables in a auditable way to related parties. So that's yet another venue that fintech and blockchain, I think, will be poised for growth in the next year or two.
Absolutely. And Arena, would love to come to you on this if you're live with us, see if you have anything to add on and just your general state and view as well.
Yes, I hope, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
I'm so glad. I had to restart it 3 times, but it worked. I completely agree. While we have the scalability problems to be proven and some other issues that we are kind of facing, and I'm glad to be facing these issues, because that's how we find solutions, right? We need to kind of break things and see at which points they start cracking, so we can actually build solutions and build innovations to make things better. This upcoming year will be a very exciting year for us, obviously. But when I think about financial technology and I think blockchain technology, I think about integration of it into capital markets. Because the way capital markets work right now is basically very expensive, right? There are only over 30 steps that you have to intermediate steps that you have to take when you transfer securities, right? The blockchain allows us to scale it down to 5. And to me, that settlement layer is kind of one of the more interesting solutions that blockchain technology provides. While I do obviously appreciate all the innovation that is happening on kind of a crypto side of the world, I do think that integration of blockchain technology finally is going to make a big difference in the capital markets and allow us finally to democratize opportunities and democratize investments for people all over the world. And so that's where I see the biggest impact that is often just under discussed. And I think it is only for simple reason. We just haven't been at a point to where we have seen blockchain integration into traditional finance, right? It's kind of been its own ecosystem, if you would, that's been a gray area at best, right? Where whether it's going to be legal or not, whether it's understood or not, was a big question only a couple of years ago, right? So now regulators understand it. Now, the financial technology world understands it, and they want it want to be part of it in a form of participating in cryptocurrencies. But also I think that integration of the technology into traditional finance, especially capital markets, I think will make huge difference for us in the next upcoming years.
Mm-hmm. Which also goes back to what Matthew and Jose were saying, right? With Biz Money, but also just in general with Jose and the financial inclusion efforts that you take so much efforts in. But before we come back to that, Gary, thank you, Irina. Gary, to you, anything else to add on to that? But in general, what are you currently seeing in these two industries as they continue to grow and really start to blend together in some cases at the infrastructure level?
I mean, the situation. So, I go back, I'm looking to the future a little bit right now. And, I'm back to the situation with my concern about security, right? And so I think that we need to spend a bit more time on that. And I'm really looking at the intersection of AI and blockchain. So where those two technologies really can work together and make a little bit of a dent in the universe. So I see this as it's an open world. I mean, it changes everything. So imagine all the data that can be garnered. Imagine being able to have that data from your experiences with the banks and other financial institution that can be sold, and and the kind of value. So I'm interested in that. And I just wrote an article that I shared some time ago with you, Kyle, that's blockchain is obsolete and the dawn of quantum computing. So I'm really focused on that and how this is going to have such a dramatic impact. I mean, it's anyhow. So that's interesting for me. In fact, my next article in Forbes is exactly about cybersecurity and quantum computing and the effect it's going to have on blockchain.
Well, thank you. And Adrian, to you, current state, what are you seeing or anything to add into Gary and Irina's previous points?
First, I'm very excited that we are doing this and that this mass, very, very professional education takes place, because to have speakers like we have in this panel is not something common. And I see this very valuable. I'm fascinated by the integration between what we called money a few years ago and what money is becoming, which is more and more digitalized. I used a lot of banks a few years ago. Now I'm using mostly fintech, only one bank, which is a trend which will continue. And I believe the whole crypto ecosystem will be very soon we will have to pass a very big stress test. It's like when you test the technology of a company or a framework, how much input can go there without things crashing. I believe the whole ecosystem will reach very soon a point where for sure it will pass the test, but we'll need to see how big will be the price. And what Ethereum is doing these days, I believe, is one of the most important quests toward this objective, to see that the whole ecosystem is passing a very big and very important stress test.
Well, we've talked a little bit about that in the past, right? I mean, adoption is one of our continually current issues. And I say issues, but really it's a progressed timeline, right? As Matthew has said, and all of us have also reiterated, this is not just a 24-hour success. This is a decade-long movement where these technologies we're talking about, and Gary and I spoke a little bit about this yesterday around quantum and AI, along with Irina on some of the deep space technologies. This is stuff that's going to take decades really to see its not only rollout, but its true impact on everything as well. And thank you, Adrian. Sam, I want to come to you real quick. So with Block Accelerate, I mean, you guys have been investing in several companies throughout the industry here. Where are you seeing maybe areas of opportunity in the next level of applications, whether that be distributed and decentralized applications, whether that may be decentralized finance or fintech? Where are you seeing the world of applications moving here in the next couple of years?
Sure. So in the mindset of where the 20% of the AUM goes versus the 80%, the 20% that can accommodate tokens, we are interested in more DeFi applications. But because we are operating with a venture fund model that we would like to buy and hold long term and make positions, get into positions that we would be willing to hold for 4 to 6 years, it's hard to get conviction on some of the projects that look good, but we're not necessarily sure they'll be around for the long term. In that instance, I think there are some interesting applications around smart contract and asset insurance on the DeFi applications. And on the 80% part of the portfolio, where we would be making equity investments, I'm seeing interesting usages in data access management. And this is where, in the context of an enterprise, not only can you verify the authenticity of a document, but you can also inspect and audit the trail of access to particular documentation. And you can also even audit the parties that have access. And then pair that with the authentication of the users, again using cryptography, then you can have an outline of a workflow that devices and users are authenticated, the access can be verified, that is, in fact, parties that have access will have access, and then you can also verify authenticity of the documentation upon retrieval. So those kinds of use cases are of interest to us. And beyond the data access management, we're looking at B2B payments. There is strong pains around accepting other kinds of payments beyond ACH and wire in the B2B transactions. Maybe PayPal and Square has taken a big dent in the B2C payments, but those problems generally persist in the B2B arena. So we're looking at some opportunities in that space in our pipeline. And another area that we've done some significant research on is corporate governance, where, especially in the context of this remote work, workflows in the enterprise, it becomes important to verify the signature authorities, being able to run proxy votes without having to meet in person, and we recognize the corporate governance aspect of enterprises will have a strong value to be gained in adopting blockchain.
It's interesting. And with that, Matthew, I do want to come back to you on some of these new projects that you're working on, but just in general, I mean, what are you seeing as areas of opportunity? And you've got this exciting new project that really does take digital currencies and crypto into the impact side of the world, which doesn't always get talked about. So Irina, I'm coming to you as well, and Gary on this, but and actually, Matthew, let me rephrase the question. Where do you see crypto and digital currency in terms of impact and greater good around climate and sustainability?
Yes, thank you. So, if I think about the big 3 themes of our lifetimes, clearly one of them is the one we're talking about every day, which is the movement to a digital world and the role of distributed ledger and crypto and digital monies and so on in that. The second, obviously, is the life sciences revolution, which we're still in the middle of. But the third is the environment, the sustainable use of the environment by humankind. And we've sort of messed that up in our lifetimes. And none of us are young enough to say it's not our fault. We're all participating in it. We simply have too heavy an impact on the world, and the world can't cope with what we are up to. And I think it's fair to say that this space, cryptocurrency doesn't really help. Every one of our products is a software, and we use a lot of computing power, and computing power also requires a lot of energy, and most of that energy is not very clean. Hopefully it will be one day. It'll all be solar and wind and geothermal and other things, but right now it isn't. And so the question is, how can we help? How can crypto help clean the world? And that's something we've been thinking about for a while. And what we've ended up doing and launching, and I'm talking now wearing my Universal Protocol hat, we just launched the world's first tokenized rainforest carbon credit crypto commodity. It's a crypto commodity. It's called Universal Carbon. And right now, anyone can buy and sell it and hold it and burn it at Uphold. But the goal is that it should be available for everyone. So anyone who's on this call who has an exchange or a wallet and wants to participate, it's really simple. What happens is if you buy one, what you're actually buying is you're buying a carbon credit, a fractional portion of a carbon credit that's been issued by a rainforest project. And so, you make your own carbon footprint better, or you can make it neutral, you can make it negative. Negative in this context is a good thing. It means that you are accounting for less carbon than you are taking out of the world. So it's a good thing to be carbon negative. So that's sort of the project, universalcarbon.com. But why is it so important? Because it's a foundation. So in its own right, it's easy. It's the easiest way in the world for anyone to participate in buying and holding or burning a few carbon credits. But in addition, it allows you to build derivative products. And I'm not going to go too far down that path right now, but if any of you want to have a clean impact in anything that you're doing, now you've got a digital asset that you can bolt on or bundle with anything else you're doing. And in the process, you are having a neutral impact, right? And so if you're a very large company, a Google or an Amazon, you can buy at wholesale a whole bunch of carbon credits, and you can say, okay, I'm running data centers, but I have carbon credits too, and the two are offsetting. But if you're an individual, it's really hard to do that. And the cryptocurrency community to date doesn't really do this. So I think it's fair to say we can be criticized as a movement and as a community that we're doing less than we should. The big companies may pollute a lot, but they do buy carbon credits as well. I think most of the crypto community actually pollutes a lot because of the energy usage of our software and our data centers and networks, but we actually don't do anything about it. We don't offset it. Right. So there we go, Carl. I know that was a long answer. This is probably the most important thing I'm involved in, I think, and I think for the crypto community, if everyone on this call wanted to embrace it, we'd love to have everyone involved. This isn't just about one company, one project. This is about building something so that the whole crypto community can say crypto is clean and is positively impacting the world. That's the goal of this initiative.
Well,
But
and
can
thank
I
you,
ask a
Matthew.
question about that,
Well,
Matthew?
yeah. Well, real quick, Sam. So one moment I want to touch on is, to Matthew's point, this is the most important, one of the most important things he's working on. It's also one of the most important things in general that we should all be focusing on. And I'll say that as a personal statement, as we've talked a lot recently over the past couple of weeks here at VCTV, not just about today's topic, again, fintech and blockchain, but around impact and sustainability and how so much is happening and changing in these industries. And it's definitely something to keep your eye on. So to the audience, for those listening, look at not just today's episode, but others in the past around these areas and why you should be paying attention. So sorry, Sam, continue.
Yeah, I was just curious if there was a way to sort of calculate how much carbon credits I should buy if I've held X number of Bitcoins for X number of years or traded for X amount and so on. It'd be nice to know how much of my footprint I can set back.
Yes, it's a great question, Sam, and those tools are being built right now. What's very easy for everyone to do, and there's many of these, is you can go online, you can just Google sort of carbon footprint calculator, and you can plug in some numbers, whether you're an individual or a business, and that you'll get a sense of your carbon footprint. These are estimates, and then it's easy to convert. They're typically in pounds of carbon, and then you can figure out how many tons of carbon credits you would need to offset your own activity. Now, when it comes to the specific issue of how much energy that has a Bitcoin, or an Ether, an ETH actually used up in its life cycle, that's something that some people are beginning to try and figure out. And I think we'll have an answer for you in a calculator sometime next year. But I think that it's sort of complicated too. And I think that this is a great example where perfection is the enemy of progress. Don't wait for the perfect answer. Just sit back and sort of say, okay, I fly a lot. I've got a car or two. If you're lucky, I live in a house. I burn some fuel. Let me do something. And I think this is the thing that I think is most important on this topic. Most people are doing nothing. So when you analyze in surveys, and we've done this, how people around the world feel about this topic, they, especially, by the way, millennials and Generation Yers, they say that this is the number one issue they care about. But if you look at their personal actions, most of them have not supported any of these carbon offset approaches. They haven't. They're angry. They want the world to be a cleaner place, but they're also honestly not taking any action. And so we're just trying to make it easy for them to take a baby step. And the baby step, Sam, is if right now, unfortunately, you'd have to have an Uphold account, but you can buy it at Uphold straight away. Soon it will be everywhere, and every exchange and every wallet will give you this as an option, and you can just click a little. And then one day we'll have those sophisticated calculations in place. So you buy a Filecoin, and in the checkout it says, do you want to cover this purchase with a little bit of universal carbon, a fractional portion of universal carbon, to clean that transaction? That's the goal.
Great, thank you.
I love it. Thank you, Matthew. And Arena, to you, same question. I mean, where are you seeing both crypto or digital currencies and blockchain playing a role in impact investing, which we'll be talking a little bit later today on VCTV, but just as a tease, walk us into that.
Well, first of all, Matthew, wow, I just love this so much. And the way you just finished that, it's, that to every transaction, you can kind of allow people to clean up the damage that they're causing. That's so wonderful. I love what you're doing, and just so many ideas, spurring out of it. And I really appreciate that you're doing it. It's so important. We need tools, and you're building tools, and right. Wow, and all the world will be definitely grateful for it. When I think about environment and I think about impact and just impact overall, I kind of think about entrepreneurs that are driven to do that impact. And so in 2017, I coined a cause-specific offering. And so cause-specific offering was born through kind of my thought that, we kind of are driven by all the wrong things. It's all about how you make money. And I do know that there are entrepreneurs that are just really want their cause to be fulfilled. And by nature, nonprofit organizations are kind of this long drawn journey that you go through, and often there's not a defined cause, and it is very challenging journey. So I thought, the cause-driven entrepreneurs are forced into these nonprofit models, and they suffer there. And so we have blockchain technology. I mean, this is really simple what we can do in a very specific defined cause. And so cause-specific offering is that we're kind of supporting now several projects, and it will be open source. So we're kind of preparing for the next year to make it available for cause-driven entrepreneurs all over the world. And the models for that are very interesting to me in a way to where you can think about it this way. You want to have a park installed a playground in a park, and the city doesn't really have money for it. So you can actually define a budget, right, and go and raise it with your local community, and it just deploys through the smart contract. People that are building it getting paid, the artists that are putting the mural getting paid market price, and in the end of the day, you have this good that is there, and you can even have through the smart contract maintenance. Or so that's a small defined cost-driven project, right? It doesn't need a business structure around it. And then another one is kind of bigger one, right? So let's say it's a space token, and it's been cooking in my head for now 3 years too, but I would love to be able to have a station on the moon kind of be there and represented for people all over the world, because right now corporations and governments are the ones that are going into space, and we as people don't really have representation on our behalf. And so, to me, cost-specific offering would be that, because it could include the governance, but it's a really big picture, right? So, but it is defined. And so that makes me feel very, very excited that finally we can benefit the nonprofit drive the impact, right? A lot of impacts are kind of common to the category of nonprofit, and use our blockchain technology. It's not hard. We have it. We can write the smart contracts. We just need to train the entrepreneurs who are driven by cause to implement that. And so there are some experts that are starting to look at it, and there's a great person who is going to be helping me, and he's just great at token economics, and he will be driving a lot of this effort through, obviously blockchain cube.
Love it. And Gary, thank you, Irina and Matthew. And Gary, to you, artificial intelligence, where does AI play a role in the future progression as we start to look towards 2021 here in blockchain's momentum, but then also in fintech's shift towards digitization?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, what's really interesting, Kyle, for me right now is, think about when you add blockchain and artificial intelligence together. We talk about creating marketplaces. I mean, today we don't do it, but I've written several articles about the transportability of AI models. So imagine a community-driven development opportunity where you're able to sell these fintech AI algorithms in this interesting open marketplace. So that's one. The other thing is, think about all the data that we have around us every single day, all the data the financial institutions have. And then places like everywhere. Literally everywhere. So whether it's YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn. So imagine being able to use that data to be able to sell that data back, and it's going to change everything, because today we get Google free for a reason. But it's very interesting with, how that's going to take place and what kind of economy that's going to create. And we're right on the door of that. The door is just opening to be able to do that. And so I'm really interested in that. And then, of course, about, the ability to create these decentralized, autonomous organizations. So I love the security. I love the speed of AI. I love that it's combined. I'm looking at the future. And of course, that, the quantum computer quantum computers are the question mark, and this whole thing, it's going to really rip everything to shreds, and we're going to be looking at an entirely different world. Imagine systems that can do what would take years in a matter of seconds. So 10,000 years in a matter of 100 seconds, those kind of capabilities. So I'm interested. And of course, the security the blockchain has to offer, being able to be anonymous, being able to, put that platform and structure together for financial institutions. I love it, but I'm looking at, some of the other ways that it can be used, because that's where the startups that we want to invest in are looking at those kind of extremely, leading edge opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And thank you. And Jose, in terms of fintech and what you work on with financial inclusion, what are you seeing as gaps or areas that are being missed in the fintech ecosystem that need to be focused on, again, as we go into 2021?
So I've been listening quite exciting to the whole panel, and I think everybody here said something which really makes sense. I think that Matthew has something that's very exciting, and definitely is something to say for it. And when I listen to Gary, he also touches a lot of points. But my personal goal and the way I would like to be seen in this panel is that we at BizBuddy, we are a people's company. We think about the users. And the same way that Matthew said that he targets millennials and the I generation, it makes all sense, right? We do exactly the same. But the problem is like this. If you want this to make happen today, like the adoption of cryptocurrency and the adoption of decentralized finance, and I like to touch, which I think is an even bigger problem, which is the business inclusion. Why do I touch always in business inclusion? Is because we are going to face, like 1 billion unemployed in the next 5 to 10 years, right? And what are we going to do with all these men and women out there? A lot of them will also be millennials. We have no doubts about that. And a lot of them will not have the knowledge or the know-how for the new type of jobs, right? So we need to do something about this, right? Or we are going to give them a lifetime income, that they just go and live on the beach every day. So I think that's not an option. So everything on this more or less goes hand in hand. If we want to make this happen, then we really need to seriously think about the usability, the adoption in general by the public. And so far, what I have seen, and this is a really big topic, is that although I love the tokenization, I love blockchain, I love the cryptocurrencies, but so far, user-wise, right, it's really not handy. And that's the problem. If we want to see it generalized and full adoption, then a lot of things still need to change. And coming back to, let's say, the country's digital currencies, I have no doubt, that sooner or later, all countries more or less will come out with their own digital currency, similar to what China has done. And that's the most logic. And hopefully we can still have our private coins and currencies after that. We don't know how the regulations will react on that. And definitely there will need to be an escrow. An escrow today is, or a clearinghouse is the IMF. So the IMF basically bundles it all together. Would not surprise me that the IMF would keep that role, like a digital clearinghouse, tokenized or not, the way we are looking at it. But there are a lot of points that we really don't know exactly how it's going to be. So to finish here, it's like this. I want to hear more or less like the voice of those who have no voice, like the voice of the people. And my concern is to give breadth, and having a social impact to that billion humans that we will have sooner or later. We already have 430 million permanently unemployed. And we have a big problem that every year we lose between 38 and 43 million startups that have no way in the ecosystem that we have today to flourish. Now, I cannot see a bigger problem. And if you combine that with, let's say, the green issues that we have, and David Attenborough recently made a huge exposure on the problems, and he went back like 20 to 40 or 50 years, then combine the two together, and we could really do something important here.
Thank you very much, Jose. Couldn't agree more. I'm seeing shaking heads around the entire room here. But as we come to close, I want to make sure everyone gets in some closing thoughts here today around the future of this industry. We're less than 30 days to the end of the year, and more excitingly, looking ahead towards 2021, which if anything has proven thus far, 2020 will act as a nice springboard into 2021 and where this industry goes from here, and should be even more exciting as the industry takes shape. But we'd love to hear your closing thoughts. And then also, as we do come to close of the year, we'd love to hear your thoughts on VCTV, why you choose to jump on here with us every day. Just a few words if you could. And then of course, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation? So Adrian, let's start with you. Closing thoughts on the industry, your thoughts on VCTV quickly, and then also where can you be found?
Closing thoughts are related to reskilling. There are so many people, even my former colleagues from university, when I speak to them, very few of them are involved in any way in crypto, or maybe they use a fintech card, but they don't care a lot about the industry. And they actually see me as a freak because I'm talking about all these sci-fi things. So I see very necessary a huge effort to reskill a lot of people into those very fine types of knowledge related to crypto and digital currencies and fintechs. And I saw something very, very simple. Any exchange can do. Coinbase has a learn and earn program. They give you a few dollars from few coins, but you are forced to watch some videos and to learn something.
Which is good. Which is very good.
Yes,
but we're coming to, sorry, Adrian, just we want to quick summarize because we're coming to close here in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
I want to make sure everyone gets
I finished this idea. And about VCTV, I joined since the beginning, and I will contribute over time as much possible because it's a huge effort to educate the market, and I'm very proud to be part of it. And it is great that it goes on and on and on.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Appreciate it. Jose, to you. Thoughts on VCTV? Where can you be found?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, which is the network that I use more frequently, on the Jose Graca with a C, or you can just search for BizMoney. Or you can obviously click on the button here on VCTV. And my closing thought basically goes to this. We are trying to generate a new type of entrepreneurs, a new generation of entrepreneurs. And that new generation of entrepreneurs definitely will be a millennial or younger generation. And that's my closing thought here today. And that's what you will listen for the next 12 months.
Wonderful. Thank you. Matthew, to you.
So thank you. I always come to VCTV because I learn something important every time. And if you do that every day, and you just continue to learn, and that's important. So thank you very much, Kyle, for doing this. And to contact me, go to either Fifth Era or blockchaincoinvestors.com, and you'll find all our contact details there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sam.
Yeah, closing thoughts. Blockchain offers a great variety of impact in the developing world and the more established markets, and really excited about the future it holds. I can be found on Twitter with Materianaut handle, or LinkedIn at /BitAngel extension. And reason I come here is to find other bright-minded folks to geek out on the future of the space.
I love it. I love it. And we love having you. Thank you. Arena.
I love participating on VCTV. It allows me to stay connected and expand connections as well. So in a way, it simulates a very important aspect of that, you know, the conferencing, speaking, and traveling all over the world. And as Matthew said, we're learning every single day. That's how we learn through the conferences, right? We connect, we discuss, and we learn. And so we're doing this, and that means we're all progressing, and I love to progress. Yes. And okay, my closing thoughts, growth cycle for crypto industry, blockchain, and we're just in the beginning of it. Think of 2017, we went to the moon. We're going to the Mars next year. So buckle up, get everything done, and be ready by January 1st to go. And get everything ready, and yeah, buckle up and be ready. It will be a fun ride. All things
I
pointing.
love it. I love it. That's a weekend, by the way, for those that are listening. So get ready to be ready to go on the weekend.
Right.
Not even Monday. We're starting on the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Gary Fowler, close us out with this here today.
Yeah, no, this is an exciting opportunity. And, I got to tell you, Kyle, I do these a lot. In the mornings, I start at 5:30 in the morning and I have my own shows, and I end up doing things in the evening in Asia. So what I can tell you is that the world has fundamentally changed over the last year, and being able to connect together, like I said, 5 years ago, when I got introduced to Zoom, and people were kind of laughing at me because I was sending out links. Well, they don't laugh anymore. And we've now, in this digitally transformed era, we're now able to connect. This morning, I've already been to calls with Nigeria, South Africa, Russia, et cetera. So the world has changed, and we have to be kept up to date. If we're going to be great investors and great leaders, we need to have that knowledge. We need to understand what's happening right on the leading edge of it, because that's where the opportunities are. So I love it. I'm particularly interested now in quantum computing, AI. I own one of the top AI venture studios in the world, GSD. So I love those companies. Bring them in. And VCTV is doing a great job. You're doing a great job. And it's good to see my friends who I've never met physically here, but it's great to see them. In fact, Irina's going to be on my show, I think, next week. And Kyle, you were on. I mean, it's a great time if you know how to use it properly. And the companies that don't are going to fail. It's do or die time. Use the technology wisely.
Absolutely. And therefore join VCTV for all day, everyday episodes, either as a viewer, as a speaker, like our investors today, or as an entrepreneur joining us on the virtual stage to pitch your company, product, or service to us to get real-time feedback, build foundational relationships, and exposure to the live audience. With that being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining today's panel, sharing your thoughts and insights around fintech and blockchain. A big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day and bringing us all together from different corners of around the world. You can find all of our investors online 24/7, 365. Make sure you add context as you reach out. You can find me, your host, Kyle Ellicott, as well online at Kyle Ellicott. We'll see you.